Greetings. Hey, what's up, family? This is Chief Kalanago Flying Eagle with another video, another lesson. On here for educational purposes, just sharing and teaching and reaching. That's about it. Let me make sure I got audio on YouTube. Give me 1 second. That's about it. All right, YouTube is good. Let me check Facebook. Let me do a sound check on Facebook. All right. Facebook is good. So what's up, family? How y'all doing? How is everybody doing? We're about to. This is school right here. This is university. Okay, taking it to a whole nother level, teaching everybody things that's not being taught in school. All right. So that's what we are talking about. You feel me? So I hope everybody's having an amazing day. My continuation is always beautiful. It's always I'm always in a good mood because life is beautiful. You know, life is what you make it. Honestly, it truly is. All right. Your perception of what you live is truly a perception of your thoughts. All right. If that makes sense. Okay. So basically, whatever you perceive, that's what your reality is. All right. So whatever is going on outside of your body, outside of your temple, if you don't want that to be your reality, it don't have to be your reality. So be in control. All right. It's called mastery of self. All right. So I'm always in control. First things first, I want to acknowledge the great spirit, universal intelligence, universal source, the great I am. Absolutely. Just the all, what we all call God, aka God. Right. I want to acknowledge my ancestors, honor to my ancestors for always protecting me, guiding me. I know that they are with me. They have never left me because I am them and they are me. All right. So it's really that simple. All right. I got to say this, no weapons formed against me shall prosper. I know that for a fact because I'm protected. I'm highly favored. And I always like to put that out there. And I truly stand on those principles. Anybody who sit around to think of hurting me intentionally, I do not forgive. You know what I'm saying? I definitely don't forgive, so I always ask my ancestors to deal with those people accordingly, all right, in abundance, you know what I'm saying, in the most brutal way possible, because people have to learn to deal with their karma. That's not how the universe works. You don't sit around and think of hurting people intentionally and then forgive because that's what you were taught in religion. The universe doesn't forgive. So I'm a man of nature, so I don't forgive. So I just want to say that. But getting that out of the way, I'm a loving man. I love to teach, and that's what I'm about, uplifting people, okay? It doesn't matter what you look like, where you're at, as long as your heart is in the right place, then I got love for you. That's just that's how I'm built, all right? So I'm sending lots of love and positive energy out there into the universe, okay? And if you're vibrating on that frequency, then you'll receive it. If not, then, hey, I'm going to send you some tomatoes and hopefully you could catch up, all right? So now check this out. I always like to put posts on my Facebook page as to the way I roll, the way I operate. Okay. And it's nothing personal. I'm just a straightforward person. I don't lie. I don't cheat. I don't play games. I'm just straight. I'm just one of the realest ones you'll ever run into because I built myself that way. So I'm very, very straightforward. Okay, very straightforward. Okay, so when I put things on my Facebook, it's not to offend anybody, but it's just to keep it real. So I tell people, when you come into my inbox, there's nothing wrong in saying hi, but when you come with hello and all this stuff, I don't vibrate on that type of frequency. Even if you don't know what it means, and I correct you politely, don't take it personal because you're casting spells. I know enough to know that not to receive those type of curses, okay? But a lot of people don't know. Can you imagine, you walking down the street, right? Yes, I'm Aries, March 23rd. Can you imagine walking down the street, right? And somebody just run into you. You don't know them. And instead of saying, hey, how are you doing? And asking a question, they say, go to hell. How would you feel? You would take that personal, won't you? Well, you see, when you tell someone hello, that's exactly what you're doing in a polite way. But you're not aware of that's what you're doing because, again, the indoctrination is real. So when people tell me hello, I don't internalize that because I'm not going to nobody's hell. Okay, so automatically I'm built that way to repel those type of curses. All right, so it's nothing personal. Please do not take it personal. Okay, or when people say good morning, when you moan, people die, you moan. Nobody died, so what's good about you getting up and crying or moaning? I don't do that. So it's not you, it's just the way I'm built. So please don't take it personal, all right, family? Please don't do that. Okay, I'm just saying that. So anyway, enough of my rambling. In this lesson, we are going to talk about Walter Plecker. Okay, we're going to talk about eugenics. Once again, just giving you information just to solidify, the information that I've been bringing to you. I know it's going to take a lot of videos, and I'm not here to convince anybody. Let's make that clear. My purpose is to educate, okay? And what you do with the information is solely up to you. But my purpose is to restore, okay, the legacy and the identity of my ancestors, okay? And fortunately, I'm here to teach my people. You dig? But I know it's going to take some work because my people are a stiff-necked people. I know that. All right, I know that. Okay, they will get mad at you. They will curse you for, even if you're giving them the facts, the mere fact that you are challenging, okay, their system of belief, then they make you an enemy. You see what I'm saying? So it's okay. I'm not mad at y'all. I love y'all. All right. So we're going to talk about, like I said, eugenics, and we're going to talk about Walter Ashby Plecker. I'm going to read from two different perspectives or two different sources. All right. One is an article and one is on my drive. Now, family, let me tell you something like I told y'all before, right? Okay. I have so much information and I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you what I have in my library of arsenal. Okay. I have so much information that literally we could sit around a campfire, okay, a well-lit campfire, pull up my computer, pull up my drive, and I'm telling you, we could go through my drive and we could literally read a book or go through information every single day for a year straight and not run out of information. That's how much information I got. I mean, last night, after I did the lives, I think I did 2 lives yesterday, right? Even if I was tired, for a reason, when I got off the last live, I got such a boost of energy, right? I literally started reading a book. I'm talking about as soon as I was done with the live, I took a little break. I would say like about an hour or so. I walked to the store, got me some fruits, okay? And then I got back and I started reading a book, like 700 and something pages. I stayed up all night, okay, from literally about, I think, whatever time I got off the live to about 6:30 in the a.m. And then I took a quick little nap for like about 3 or 4 hours. I got up, okay, and then I started reading again. I just finished. Okay, so I've been reading for almost 24 hours straight. You see, y'all don't know the sacrifices I make to do what I do and bring the information to you. Now, I'm not saying that to impress you. I'm just letting you know that I'm committed to this, okay? I'm dedicated to this because it's my purpose. It don't feel like work. It's my passion. I love what I do. I love to read, okay? So, but how I read is I speed read and look for what I want. Okay, so I could do that within, like I say, 24 hours. I could read like a long book, but to go in detail, then sometimes I take a week or 2. But when I'm browsing, I know how to, my eyes just pick up things really fast in a book. So I could go through a book with hundreds of pages in literally 24 hours. Okay, so that's what I do. All right. So now let us talk about Walter Plecker. So I'm going to share my screen, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read from a PDF from my drive, and then I'll go to a website that I came across online. So we're going to look at it from 2 different perspectives. The one they have online, I have to do a little bit of decoding because it's been told, okay, from what I realized from a native perspective. So I have to do a little bit of decoding with that. All right, but I'm going to go to the one on my drive first. Okay, so if you guys are ready for this information, do me a favor, please, and type some "it's" in the chat. Okay, it is the continuation of life. So we're here building, and we are building so we could pass that on to our children, so we could change, you know, we could make a paradigm shift with the way we look at ourselves, you know what I'm saying, and the position that we play in our ancestral land. It's time for the American Aborigines, aka American Indians. It's time for us to restore our birthright. Okay, so let me go ahead and pull up that document. This is again from my drive. All right. And I got that document, I think, from, where did I get that from? I can't even remember. I think I got it from one of the governmental archives. But anyway, it's a PDF. And just so you know, I will be putting all that information on our website, okay? www.ipnan.org. All right? All right, let's get into this. Document, resume. The author is Smith J. David. Title, Eugenics, Race Integrity, the 20th Century Assault on Virginia's Indians. Okay. Published date, I think that might have been in 1991, April 11th of 1991. So that's been out for a few years. Okay. We don't necessarily have to read everything, but I'm just going to read the main parts of the title. American Indians, racial attitudes, racial discrimination, racial relationships, segregationist organizations, social discrimination, state history, eugenics, Virginia. Okay, abstract. All right, this paper documents efforts made by some Virginians in the first half of the 20th century to promote and maintain racial separatism. In the early 1920s, the Anglo-Saxon clubs of America were founded in Virginia, and the leaders of this group successfully persuaded the state legislature to pass in 1924 the Race Integrity Act. Now, mind you, in 1924, like I've taught you guys before, in 1924, all right, that was the same year that the United States made all the American Indians United States citizens, okay, whether it was by birth or by naturalization, okay? So that same year, eugenics was being, what it played a lot in people being identified. Okay, so eugenics was one of the things that was used, or the systems that was used. This act created two racial groups in Virginia, white and colored. Okay, pay attention. All right, pay attention. This part of our history is crucial to show our people who they are. Okay. Now, this act created two racial groups in Virginia, like I said, white and colored. Anyone who could not prove himself or herself white was classified as colored for the purpose of birth records, okay, marriage licenses, school attendance, and death certificates. Now, some people may use this argument or this. Let's just say people could look at this document from a different perspective. They could say, well, you know what? White meant this so that I was considered colored, so I'm the Indian. All right. But the thing I love about this document is it specifically speaks of the Negro. Okay. And not everybody could just walk around and say they're a Negro. All right. So that's why I say a lot of times when you read, you have to read with understanding. Okay. All right, let me see where I left off. Give me a second here. All right. Under the Race Integrity Act, there was no valid means of determining race status. So Plecker had the opportunity to make subjective decisions about the rights of people to marry, to designate the race of their own children on birth certificates, and to claim a racial heritage of their own choosing. Plecker devoted a great deal of the time and energy to discounting the claims of Virginia's Indian peoples to their heritage. Okay? The legislative, bureaucratic, and judicial means Plecker and others sought to use in these efforts are recounted. Okay. Eugenics, Race, Integrity, and 20th Century Assault on Virginia's Indians by J. David Smith, Professor of Education and Human Development, Lynchburg College, a presentation to the Organization of American Historians, Louisville, Kentucky, April 11th, 1991. Okay? And this is an official document, all right? The research for this presentation was conducted while the author was a resident fellow at the Virginia Center for Humanities. It should not be copied or otherwise reproduced without the consent of the author. Copying or reproducing this paper without consent of the author may be a violation of common law copyright and may involve the person copying or reproducing it in legal difficulties. All right, so just so you know, once again, I'm only using this document for educational purposes. I do not own it. I do not claim to own it, okay? It's just in my possession for educational purposes only, okay? All right. All right. In the fall of 1922, John Powell and Ernest Sevier Cox founded the Anglo-Saxon Clubs of America. Powell was an influential Richmonder with the FFV heritage. He was also known internationally as a composer and concert pianist. One of his best known works is Rhapsody Negra or Nigre, which is based on themes from spirituals, minstrel shows, and plantation life. Cox was an insurance salesman and would-be historian who wrote books entitled White America and Lincoln's Negro Policy. Powell and Cox were brought together by their shared beliefs in white supremacy based on social Darwinism and the eugenic necessity for racial separation. An article in the Richmond Newsletter in June 1923 described the goals of the Anglo-Saxon Clubs of America. The fundamental purpose of the organization is the preservation and maintenance of the Anglo-Saxon ideals and civilization in America. This purpose is to be accomplished in three ways. First, by the strengthening of the Anglo-Saxon instincts, tradition, and principles among representatives of our original American stock. Well, I would say United States stocks, okay, because these people keep calling themselves Americans and they are not, okay. Second, by intelligent selection and exclusion of immigrants. And third, by fundamental and final solution of our racial problems in general, most especially of the Negro problem. So once again, we, the Negroes, or the so-called Negroes, all right, we have always been considered a problem, okay? We have always been considered a problem in our own land. You have to keep that in mind. And we're still dealing with the system, all right, that birthed what we're dealing with today, okay? So please keep that in mind, all right? Also included in the New Leader article was a related petition. Under Powell's leadership, the Anglo-Saxon clubs, there were already several chapters in Virginia, were seeking signatures endorsing the following motions. Number one, there shall be instituted immediately a system of registration and birth certificates showing the racial composition, white, black, brown, yellow, red, of every resident of the state. Okay? Now, they were pushing for those categories when it comes to the color of, or complexion rather, of people's skin. White, black, brown, yellow, and red. But of course, the so-called yellow people, they wasn't playing that. So they got rid of that, okay? They got rid of the red and they stuck with just black and white. That's when they were starting to make it a thing about skin opposed to status, okay? Number two, no marriage license shall be granted save upon presentation and attestation on the oath by both parties of said registration or birth certificate. All right. So once again, we didn't have birth certificates. All right. That was something new. And for this corporation to force any one of us to have birth certificates, once again, that goes against our human rights or our culture, period. Okay. But you know how it is. Well, if you don't have it, then how are you going to navigate? Because now you needed to get a job, you needed to get their ID, you needed to open a bank account. So they set up a system where the only way for us to operate, we have to participate in their system. And that was one of the ways our ancestors got caught. And they were forced involuntarily, in a way, to be part of that system. Okay? And that's why I said they beat us on paper. They never won a battle or a war against us physically. Okay? It was all done on paper. All right? Number 3, white persons may only marry whites. Number 4, for the purposes of this legislation, the term white persons shall apply only to individuals who have no trace whatsoever of any blood other than Caucasian. This petition was presented to the Virginia General Assembly at its next session. The purpose of the petition and the goals of the Anglo-Saxon Clubs of America were achieved during the session in 1924 with the passage of the Race Integrity Act. This legislation was enacted largely as a result of the lobbying efforts of John Powell, Ernest Cox, and Virginia's first registrar of vital statistics, Walter Ashby Plecker. Now, once again, when any ethnic group controls your food, how you clothe yourself and how you educate yourself and how you earn money, of course, they get to have all these things in place. But as indigenous people, especially the original indigenous people, we have a right to create our own systems. All right. What's keeping us back is the lack of, is the lack of unity, the lack of respect for each other, too much jealousy, too much envy, too much animosity. Okay. And that's the problem. So if we're not handling our business, don't be mad at other people who are handling theirs. Okay. This is all a game. It is all a game that we are playing. And the best team is always going to win. So if we don't know how to play the game, how do you think we're going to get, at least be at the table playing the game or be on the court? All right. In essence, the race integrity law created 2 racial groups in Virginia, white and colored. Anyone who could not prove herself or himself white was classified as colored for the purpose of birth records, marriage licenses, school attendance, or death certificates, all points where personal freedom and governmental control interacted. The most troublesome aspect of the statute was, of course, defining with any precision the criteria for being a member of the white race. The original idea, as stated in the Anglo-Saxon Club's petition, was that anyone with any trace of anything other than the Caucasian blood would be considered colored. Okay? The way that the concept of white race purity was operationalized, however, shows just how impossible it was to employ in any rational way. An illustration of this is found in the letter that Walter Plecker, a physician, wrote in his capacity as a registrar of the vital statistics to the school superintendent who had inquired about ascertaining the race of family. Plecker said, open quote, as the deciding the point of race, you and the sheriff and any other intelligent citizen of the community are as capable of judging from the appearance of the child as the most learned scientist. There is absolutely no blood or other test to determine that question, only the appearance of the children and the habits of the mother as to association with the Negroes. Okay, that was Plecker in 1940. Given this lack of valid means for determining racial status in the way that the law required, however, Plecker continued to make subjective decisions about the rights of people to marry, to designate the race of their own children on birth certificates, and to claim a racial heritage of their own choosing. He was 51 years old when he became the state registrar of vital statistics. When he resigned in post 1946, he was 85. For 34 years, he directed the recording and maintenance of information concerning births, marriages, and deaths in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So just so you know, this man had 34 years to displace our people and give them or classify them or force them rather to be classified as what they didn't want to be called. Okay? So that's why I tell people, when you see our people are reluctant to talk about certain things or they just don't know, is because of this type of information. Okay? It's a lot of trauma. By using the authority of the Race Integrity Act, he intervened directly in the most personal and valued areas of the lives of thousands of people. In his campaign to preserve what he believed was the threatened racial purity of the white race, Plecker was particularly troubled by the vestigial groups of Indian people who had arrived in Virginia into the 20th century. From the beginning, he had posed difficulties for the advocates of the Race Integrity Act. The one exception to the pure blood requirement for classification as a white person was that persons who have 1/6 or less of the blood of the American Indian and have no other non-Caucasic blood shall be deemed to be white persons. Okay, so he was saying that, okay, when it was a little bit difficult to just say, well, it had to be done by skin, they were trying to come up with a system, a little system that's a little more intricate. All right, because now a lot of people are pouring in, okay, that are saying they're Indians. All right, so he's saying that persons who have 1/6 or less of the Indian blood of the American Indian and have no other non-Caucasic blood shall be deemed to be white persons, and that's what Plecker said in 1925. Okay, so now you'll realize that a lot of our ancestors, even if they are literally of a darker hue, I'm talking about brown skin almost to the point where you might call them black, right? You might go and check on their records and see that they have them as white. And some of you may think, well, whoa, I didn't know my great-grandmother was a white woman. No, it's not because she was a white woman. It's because of the Racial Integrity Act, okay? And because they couldn't claim full Indian, all right, they were allowed, if you had 132 at that time, okay? Not, I think it was it 132 or one, give me a second. I think that's what it is. Hold on for 1 second. I just kind of got sidetracked here. The colored people. Yeah, 132. Okay. Then you could be considered white. So a lot of our people, especially if they wanted to take part in the armed forces or have prestigious jobs, they would say that they were white. Okay, just so y'all know, I want to give you a little history on that. All right. Now, this amendment was vehemently opposed, however, by many established Virginia families who had boasted for generations of their lineage to Pocahontas. And once again, I have given you facts and proven that Pocahontas was a sister. Okay, so we already went through that. So there's not even any question about that. Pocahontas was a brown-skinned, copper-toned woman. Okay, now, had the amendment been enacted, many of them would have been categorized as colored. You hear that? Once again, had the amendment been enacted, many of them would have been categorized as colored under its provisions, an entirely unacceptable designation for many FFVS, whatever that means. Okay? Plecker devoted a great deal of time and energy to discounting the claims of Virginians, Indian people, to their heritage. Okay? And now we'll see who these Virginian Indians were. Okay. He was annoyed by the threat they posed to the clean separation that the law had made between white people on the one hand and everyone else, colored people, on the other. He launched a particularly aggressive and long campaign against them. In a letter responding to the inquiry about Virginia's Indians, he commented, open quote, "There are probably no native Virginia Indians unmixed with Negroes. There are probably no native Virginia Indians unmixed with Negroes. Our office is in possession of all birth, death, and marriage records reaching back to 1853. The marriages were reported by county clerks to the state auditor at the end of the year and indicated whether the parties were white or free Negroes." Okay, mind you, again, remember what I told y'all what free Negroes meant. Free Negroes meant American Indian. All right. These old records are now in our keeping. In practically every case where the pedigree of these so-called Indians has been investigated, it has been found to be founded upon this free Negro blood. I'm going to read that again. Okay? I'm going to read that again. In practically every case where the pedigree of these so-called Indians has been investigated, it has been found to be founded upon this free Negro blood. So once again, everybody that called themselves Indians or natives to this day, all right, they became Indians because of our blood. And I have proven that to you with the conversation I had from the Cherokee Nation. When he was under pressure, he had to let it go. Well, my great grandmother, she was full blood Cherokee, and if she permed her hair, she would look like one of the black women in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Well, let me ask you a question: how does perming your hair or not perming your hair change the complexion of your skin? All right. Plecker then proceeded in his letter to discount the claims to Indian heritage of each Native American group in Virginia. The Pamunkeys he discounted as heavily mixed with Negro and white, with a faint trace of Indian. He described the Rappahannoocks as a group of similar origin that have about the same claim to being Indians. Plecker claimed of the Chickahominy Indians that their existence as a tribe was a political trick, all right, to enable the white people to maintain control of the county government, Indians not being voters. Finally, he mentioned the group which would become the most frequent target of his official campaign against the Indians. The Amherst Rockbridge group of about 800 similar people are giving us the most trouble through actual numbers and persistent claims of being Indians. Now, mind you, all these different groups they're talking about, they are Negro people. Just keep that in mind. All right. An early challenge to the use that Plecker made of the Race Integrity Act against Indian people came from Rockbridge County. A woman named Arthur Sorrells has denied a license to marry a white man. Plecker and the local court clerk contended that Arthur Man, family, they always doing this, man. They always doing this to me. I keep telling y'all. All right, they always doing this to me every time I'm going in. They shut the whole joint down. I mean, it can't be a coincidence. Every time I'm going in, but it's all good though. I'm back. Let me share my screen again. Give me 1 second. That's why I tell y'all, man, we got to create our own. We got to have our own, man. Y'all just don't know, man. Y'all just don't know. We need our own everything. Okay? For real, for real. All right, so here we go. Okay. All right, so he ordered that Arthur Sorrell should be issued a marriage license. Powell and Plecker immediately declared that they would appeal the decision. They were convinced otherwise, however, by the opinion of an assistant attorney general of Virginia with whom they consulted concerning the appeal. He informed them that the judge in the case, Henry Holt, had decided that if there was an appeal of the particulars of the case, he would amend his opinion and declare the Race Integrity Act unconstitutional. He also offered both assistance and advice in his lecture to Powell. Of course, if you and Dr. Plecker wish the case to go to the Court of Appeals, this office will take it there. But the thought has occurred to me that inasmuch as the law seems to be working all right outside of the Judge Holt's circuit, we would run the risk of losing a great deal on the chance of reversing him in one case, Basile 1924. The case was not appealed. The law remained in effect for more than 40 years. For the next 25 years, Walter Plecker continued to deny marriage licenses and birth certificates to people claiming Indian heritage. He intervened in selective service matters when Indians volunteered for military service, insisting that they be assigned to colored units. That's why, once again, they couldn't put in there. All right, they couldn't put in there. All right, that's why I told you the goal was to save the man or woman and kill the Indian. All right, that was the whole goal. He even made changes to records when he did not agree with the racial designations, often without informing the people affected. So when our parents, would, or our elders, would put on birth certificates, as the race, American Indian, or marriage certificates, death certificates, he would go and change it without their consent. Okay, so you see, all that stuff was happening. All right, so we were not informed of that. He sent hit list. Okay, he sent hit list of names to local registrars and clerks of the courts. These were lists of people who should not be allowed to use any racial designation other than colored. So in other words, he blackballed them. Okay, he blackballed them. All of this was done on the basis of information which would prove to be inaccurate, and a law that proved to be unconstitutional years after it should have been tested. Russell Booker, the current director of Virginia's Bureau of Vital Statistics, has commented on Plecker's use of his office. His examination of the old records, so often referred to by Plecker, show that colored and free were terms often applied to people who were in fact recognized to be Indians. I'm going to read that again. I'm not sure if y'all heard me, but I'm going to read that again. Okay? So all that about, oh, well, we came here on slave ships and that's what these natives want y'all to think. I told you I'm going to expose everything from every angle, every direction. I'm going to expose it. All right? Let me read that again. Okay? Let me highlight that little part just in case y'all missed that. All right? It's all in blue, highlighted. Okay? Russell Booker, the current director of Virginia's Bureau of Vital Statistics, he has commented on Plecker's use of his office. His examination of the old records, so often referred to by Plecker, show that colored and free were terms often applied to people who were in fact recognized to be Indians. So you tell me who the American Indians are. So you tell me why we are here calling ourselves Black and African American. Why are we out here allowing these natives to degrade us? When they know the truth? Y'all tell me. Okay? For those of you who just heard and seen what I read, do me a favor, please. Type some ones in the chat. Because you see, I want this to sink in. I want this to sink in. I am tired of my people calling themselves Black. All right? In the mid-19th century, state records for birth, marriages, and deaths were divided into, give me a second, into two categories, white and colored. The colored category was subdivided into free and slave. Okay, free and slave. Now, once again, because a lot of our people were enslaved, it doesn't mean that they came here on the bottom of a slave ship. You see, that's where people are being tricked. So you see how they had to categorize colored people, free and enslaved. The ones that were free, they had land. They were the more prestigious ones. Okay. And the ones that were enslaved or indentured servantry, sometimes our own people had to make our own people slaves to protect them from the hardship of slavery. Okay? Just so y'all know. In the 1920s, when Plecker and his friends got the Racial Integrity Act passed, colored had been defined as Negro. And that's why I showed y'all a list of different names that we were called. All right. Now we're considered to be Black. All right. Now let me pause here for a second. And let me go to Facebook and show you. Okay. Give me 1 second, please. Let me just show you a post I put on Facebook earlier to show you the transition and all that coincides with everything I've been teaching you guys. Let me go to my post real quick. Okay. On. All right, here we go. Let me pull up that for you. Let me pull it up. Give me 1 second. My screen is populating, guys. Give me 1 second, please. All right, come on, man. All right, there we go. Let me go ahead and tap on that. And let me just kind of break that down a little more to show you the different categories. Okay. So here we are. All right. This is a little something I created earlier, and I'm going to share that with you before I continue reading the article. All right. And I posted that on Facebook. So here we are, okay? Oh, come on, man. Hold up. Why is it not showing? Okay, I think it's showing. I'm not sure. All right. Okay. All right. There we go. Okay. We have been here from time immemorial. For those of you who don't know what immemorial means, it means from, literally time beyond the process of even remembering. Okay, a very, very long time. Okay, past ancient times. Okay, before being called, so before being called aboriginals, we were just family and people living in nature. All right, because there was a time we didn't call ourselves anything. And I tell people, go ask a lion, go ask a giraffe, go ask a frog, go ask any of them, what are they called? Of course, they're not going to tell you anything. Even if they could speak, they wouldn't be able to tell you anything because they don't call themselves anything. So we were people living in nature. We didn't call ourselves anything, but we were called because of colonization. Okay, in the name of their gods and their religion, we were called aboriginals. Now, the reason why they stopped calling us aboriginals and they only allow Australians and Canadians to call themselves aboriginals is because in the United States and the Caribbean, South America, etc., etc., that was the main hub of it all. You see what I'm saying? So what the United States did, they took everything out of, the history books. Okay, whatever they teach in their history classes, they took out the term aboriginal completely. They even took away the concept of aboriginal title. When they first came with the deeds and all that, even before you had deeds, you had aboriginal titles. And our people had the titles of the land. We were the landlords. Okay? I know. I'm not guessing this. That's a fact. And the majority of our people were tricked into either selling their land or it was taken from them forcefully. That's a fact. Okay? So before colonization period, we didn't even call ourselves all these names that with these so-called tribes that are being called right now. Okay, we were just people living on the land. However, due to colonization, forcing their gods and religions on us, all right, we were called aboriginals. That name stuck in Canada. Okay, the only part of the Americas that they kept that term is in Canada, and they had to fight back for that. They had already taken it away from the original Canadians, all right, but they got it back on the books, all right. Now, Australia, they fought back to be aboriginals, and they got back that title. But here in the Americas, when I say the Americas, excluding Canada, we're not fighting for that. We, especially in the United States, my people are fighting to be black. They're fighting to be African American. That's the problem. Okay, but Aboriginal title, that was something real. So it went from Aboriginal title or Aboriginals to 1492 Indian, American Indian, 1600s slave, in the 1800s Negro, in the 1965 black, 1900s Negro, 1950 colored, 1970 Afro-American, okay, which is closer, okay, because at least we were Americans with an Afro, okay, but also Negro was also a political identity that applied to us because why? We were called the Negro de Terra, opposed to the Negro de Guinea, which is on the African continent. Okay, then back in 1980, back to black. All right, then in 1988, of course, Jesse Jackson, no thank you, African American. Then in 1999, minority, and in 2000, black, and in 2017, moving forward, back to African American. No thank you, Obama. All right, and I ask, if we don't step up and put a stop to this, what will we be called next? You tell me. If we're just going to continuously sit around and allow these people to just classify us as what they want. We are the only ethnic group in the world whose identity has changed over 7 times. Why do you think that is? An African has always been an African. Even when they go into their respective countries, they identify as who they are. Okay. has always been an Italian. Okay, a British has always been a British. A Scottish has always been a Scottish. Why is that? The Aboriginals, the original people of this land, the Negro, okay, the American Negro, why are we the only one whose identity has changed about 8 times? I will let you think on that for a second. And you tell me if it's not something sinister that's going on, something they don't want you to know. And that's exactly why I do what I do. All right, let's go back to that document. Okay, now I'm going to read that again. In the 1920s, when Plecker and his friends got the Racial Integrity Act passed, colored had been defined as Negro. Okay, so remember Noah's Webster's 1828 dictionary, the colored couple races, they took copper out and just call us colored. And then they took out colored and just say, hey, Negro. All right, and then boom, black. Because the goal was to take us further away from who we are. That was the goal. Save the man, kill the Indian. Okay? He could change records, and he did. Booker said, if someone came in and said, I'm an Indian, Plecker said, your grandfather was a free Negro. You see what I'm saying, family? So whenever you read and your school teachers telling your children, oh, well, you know, they were free Negroes because they were already slaves and, you know, they happen to be free. We freed them and that's why they were called Negroes. No, shut up. That's not why they were called free Negroes. They were called free Negroes because they were the original people that were called Indians running around. The wild Indians were still running around, okay, while pale people were still slaves. But they don't want you to know that. You feel me? In the 1600s and the 1700s, when the Negroes was just the Indian, these natives wasn't around. Don't let them fool you. They were nowhere around. You saw the video I showed you with the Italians. They came a few generations before the Italians. I keep telling them I'm not the one to play with, man. So he said, if someone came in and said, I'm Indian, Plecker could say, your grandfather was a free Negro, so you are a Negro. Actually, the grandfather wasn't listed as a Negro at all, but as colored free. Plecker browbeat local registrars into changing records. He made a list of surnames of people who claimed to be Indian. Okay? He browbeat hospitals. He know who these people are. You know who they are. Hospitals learned not to record them, these families' names as Indian. So the man went all over, okay? And that practice eventually got adopted all over the United States. And he went all over talking about anybody you see that's half Indian and they're Negro, you better change that to black. You better change that to Negro. Well, black at that time. Okay? Now, what this is documentary genocide, Green said in 1987. During Plecker's years in the Virginia Bureau of Vital Statistics, he sent copies of official correspondence concerning the race integrity law and related racial matters to his friend John Powell. When Powell died, he left his papers to the University of Virginia. There are several large files of Plecker correspondence included in the Powell collection. While examining those files, I discovered a challenge that came to Plecker a few years before his retirement. And it may be that it was this incident which curtailed his harassment of Indian people, okay? The Negro, all right? In 1942, ironically, it almost looked like 1492, but maybe that's just me, you know, my mind is always running, okay? In 1942, a request from Amherst County was received in Plecker's office for a copy of a birth certificate. The request came from a person claiming to be Indian. When the requested copy was received, it showed that the Indian did appear on the original birth certificate. It had been issued before 1924, before the Racial Integrity Act. On the back of the certificate, however, Plecker had opened the following statement. I'm sorry, not opened. Let me correct that. Okay, it had been issued before 1924 Race Integrity Act. On the back of the certificate, Walter Plecker had appended the following statement. Quote, open quote, the Virginia Bureau of Vital Statistics does not accept the racial classification Indian on this certificate as correct and does not admit the correctness of the term for the race of the parents of the name and name. The grandparents, the great-grandparents are colored and descendants of free Negroes, which are the Indians under the law of Virginia, named such and such, therefore classified as colored person, Plecker said in 1942. Okay, the birth certificate came saying Indian, but he said, nah, that ain't right. We got to change that. Soon, Plecker heard from this person's attorney, John Randolph Tucker, a lawyer with a prestigious Richmond firm. Tucker made the following observations to Plecker. Open quote, I find nowhere in the law any provision which authorizes the registrar to constitute himself judge and jury for the purpose of determining the race of child born and authorizing him to alter the record as filed in his office by the local registrar. I desire and demand a correct copy of the record in your office as it there appears, without comment from you and without additions or subtractions, and I hereby notify you that unless I obtain a prompt compliance with your official duties as prescribed by law, because that's your duty, I shall apply to the proper court for a mandamus to compel you to perform, because you're supposed to perform in your fiduciary capacity, just like they have to do today. Okay, your duty as prescribed by the statute, Tucker 1942. All right. Plecker must have recognized immediately that he was defeated in this case, that he simply had no legal legs to stand on. He quickly responded to Tucker's demand. He did, however, include in his letter to Tucker a comment which conveyed his bitterness at complying with the law. All right? Open quote. As you point out, and as the Attorney General advises, the law does not permit us to give the truth on the certificates, but seem to compel me as state registrar to certify to what I know to be absolutely false, Plecker said. Now read that again. Plecker said, quote, open quote, as you point out, and as the Attorney General advises, the law does not permit us to give the truth on the certificates, but seems to compel me as the state's registrar to certify to what I know to be absolutely false, Plecker in 1942. Close quote. Within a few days, Plecker wrote to his old friend and colleague John Powell about this incident. After describing the circumstances and the outcome, which he characterized as the worst backset which we have received since Judge Holt's decision, he talked about a strategy for changing his vulnerable position in this regard. He explained that he planned to try to have legislation introduced to the next General Assembly which would legitimize this practice of making racial notations on the backs of birth certificates. He then made a disclosure to Powell, which is so telling of these methods and ethics. He admitted, in reality, I have been doing a good deal of bluffing, knowing all the while that it could not be legally sustained. This is the first time my hand has absolutely been called. Plecker, 1942. So in other words, he's admitting that he was doing wrong, but it was the first time that he got caught. Confession. Okay? In a letter to the Commissioner of Indian Affairs in in 1943. Plecker answered a complaint which had been logged with the commissioner's office by a woman who claimed Indian status on the birth certificate of her child. Oh, come on, man. Why am I doing this? Hold on for a second. Okay, give me a second. The case was appealed. Hold up. Let me see. They did the case. Appeals. Integrity consultation. Halt. He would amend the question and declare the race integrity unconstitutional. Give me 1 second, guys. Call it units. Oh, wow. It took me all the way up. Hold up. Back certificate. And 1942. All right. Judge himself constitute the registrar and the purpose of legal registrars and that. Obtain the prompt compliance and that. Give me 1 second, please. Right within. All right. He explained that he planned. Okay. We read that. Okay. Here we go. Now, in a letter to the Commissioner of Indian Affairs in April 1942, Plecker answered a complaint which had been logged with the Commissioner's office by a woman who claimed Indian status on the birth certificate of her child. She complained that her designation had not been honored and that she had been harassed. Apparently, a person on the Commissioner's staff had advised him of Plecker's list and drew a parallel with the Nazi race hygiene program. Plecker acknowledged the comparison with seeming pride. We would be delighted to have you or our representative visit our office and examine the mass of original and pedigree charts, showing the racial origin of mixed breeds trying to pass as Indian or white. Our own index birth and marriage records showing race reach back to 1853. Such a study has probably never been made before. Your staff member is probably correct in this surmise that Hitler's genealogical study of Jews is not more complete. Plecker, 1943. Russell Booker described that Walter Plecker was attempting to do to Indian people as documentary genocide. I agree with his conception. From my study of the Race Integrity Act and from my previous work on involuntary sterilization legislation and other aspects of the eugenics movement, I have come to believe that eugenics, which provided the philosophical and political undergirding for the actions of Powell and Plecker, was an attempt at genocide on several fronts. Okay, and guess what, family? On a huge scale, we have to come together. That's why I keep telling y'all, everything that I do, there's a madness to everything that I do. All right? Keep that in mind. Okay? Now, in some cases, this meant genocide by taking away reproductive capacity, sterilization of people from an underclass who were labeled feeble-minded. In other cases, it meant genocide by needlessly removing people from society and containing them in institutions. In other instances, it meant attempting to send a race of people back to Africa and thereby eliminating them from the United States. In still other cases, it took from a form of attempting to destroy completely a race of people, Native Americans, okay, by legislating and bureaucratizing them out of existence. Like I told you before, that was the plan of the bureaucrats, right? To kill the Indian and save the man. In each instance, the people in question were made to be viewed as inferior strain of humanity. They were made into pseudo species. The fact that some of these people survive psychologically and culturally is a testament to their dignity and courage. So once again, I am letting you know that what our people, the abuse that we have gone through, and that's why some of our elders will not talk about them being Indians, because it is too traumatizing. Okay? It is too traumatizing. Now the references, everything is there, okay? From the Anglo Club, 1923, Richmond News Leader, the Bazillion, November. They're just showing the references from where this article came from, okay? So just so y'all know. So this is one. I'm going to read another from another source, and then I will conclude the build. Okay? And of course, you will see what this culprit looks like. That's why I tell people I don't forgive, man. I do not forgive. You sit around and hurt me intentionally. Nah, I'm not. No, no. You gotta get that karma. No, the universe don't forgive. The universe don't work that way. You just do whatever you want, hurt people, abuse people, sit around and destroy people. And oh well, no, it's okay to forgive. No, no, it's not. And I'm not telling people what to do. That's just me, because I know nature. Okay, nature don't forgive. All right, so this is an article from another site. All right, that site I think is called, let me see, Indians and no, not Indians. Give me a second. I think I love my ancestry. I think that's what it's called. I love my ancestry. Okay, yeah, I love my ancestry. So we are going to read Paper Genocide of Native Americans from the 1790 census to the present day. Okay, so the census, the Dawes Rolls, all those systems were used to displace the Negro as being the American Indians. Okay, just so y'all know. Now, facts before Walter Plecker Paper Genocide. Since the beginning of the African slave trade in America, many native persons, unfortunately, to the detriment of native heritage, were being listed as black, mulatto, Negro, and or just lumped together as colored, which did not allow for distinction between indigenous and Africans on paper. All right. Now, here's another thing they're not telling you is this. A lot of the so-called black people that came here, all right, whether they came from Britain, whether they came from Scotland or Europe, period, or even different parts of Asia, okay? What they're not telling you is that the reason why they were able to mix in with the Indians is because we were one people. You see, they will never tell you that. So when you hear about enslaved Africans, okay, or black people mixing with the natives, it wasn't with these pale natives. Don't let them trick you. All right? Don't let them trick you. We were mixing with people who look just like us. Just so y'all know. Okay? In the slavery days, being listed as Negro was done to our native people in order for white slave owners to keep an ample supply of enslaved Africans. Now, I'm assuming this is being written from a native perspective because that's what natives like to say. All right? That, well, they were slave masters as well. And, of course, the slave masters used to go into slave quarters and all that. Man, shut up. All right? Y'all know what's going on. Okay? Y'all know what's going on. And y'all know you're not the original Indians of this land. All right? So let's stop the nonsense. Because I've given you guys so much information to debunk all the lies. All right? But let's read. Many blood natives have lost a God-given blood heritage due to slavery in southern states in which approximately 50,000 or more full-blooded Native American men, women, and children alike were forced by white slave owners to take part in slavery. Well, guess what? Our ancestors were not forced to take part in slavery. Okay? A lot of them voluntarily enslaved people because that was the business going on back then. Okay? It was business. It wasn't personal. It was just business. And that's why I tell you when I'm going to be reading this, I have to decode this and break it down because it's being written from a native perspective. Okay? Now, how is that? All these so-called slaves, so-called black slaves come from Africa, right? And then you are the original natives, all right? But you choose to have children with all these so-called slave people that you don't like, period. Look at how y'all treat us today. So what make us think when we came directly from the slave ship, that's when y'all chose to sleep in bed with us. But y'all don't even like us today. I mean, come on. You see, it don't make sense. When you see, you have to start thinking. Use your head. The only reason why American Indians were interbreeding with the so-called the blacks that came from different parts of the world, not just Africa, okay? And these people did not come here as slaves. They came here as indentured servants because their kings knew where they were going. They came here on contracts. However, they became enslaved in the Americas. Because when the terms and conditions were up of the contract, it wasn't honored. The 7-year servantry contract, it wasn't honored. And then King George said, nah, man, listen, we already got them here. It's time to enslave some people. And that's the King George, the king of Germany. All right, well, not kind of like Great Britain, because Germany was all part of that. He's the one that created the colony of Georgia, what you call the state of Georgia right now. Okay? Georgia was always populated with so-called black people. Don't let nobody fool you. With the travesty of race reclassification, starting from the first census, even taken in America, Native Americans, Indians were falsely listed on all census records as Negroes, musty, black, mulatto, or colored, and sometimes even white. This was an intentional reclassification which was passed down from generation to generation to present, even presently entered on many Native American Indians' vital records as in birth certificates and social security data. Walter Plecker of Virginia vital records began a paper genocide trend that quickly spread throughout 50 states and continues to this day. All right, so I just want to give it to you from a different perspective. That's all. All right. So guys, this is the conclusion of this presentation. All right. In summary, I just want to say this. All right. This is not about hating anybody. You see, I have to keep making my disclaimers. All right. This is about telling the truth. That's what it is. That's what it is. That's all it is. Stop with the lies. And y'all know for years, okay, that y'all mind are not at ease. And that's why you are not going where you need to go, because you are living a lie. The United States know that you are living a lie. The world know who the original people are. So I'm here to resurrect the American Aborigine, the original American Indian, the Negro de Terra. It is really that simple. And like I said, everybody will have to confess, because they cannot hide the truth any longer. Okay? And everybody have to pay for their sins, because that's what they would have. They start telling us about sins and all that. Well, guess what? Y'all got to pay for y'all. You got to pay for yours. It's really that simple. So I am asking my people, and here's some truth that a lot of you may or may not agree with. I am not here to ask you to agree with me on anything. I'm just giving you the facts. You do what you want with it. But I'm going to make a bold statement and let you know that, okay? The people who came here, whether they came from Africa, or whether they came from Britain, or whether they came from Scotland, or whether they came from Germany, or whether they came from Ireland. I'm talking about the Negroes that came here. And they tell you, oh, well, they all came from Africa. That's a lie. But regardless of where they came from, I promise you, they got more Indian blood in them than the natives that call themselves American Indians right now. Because they were the ones mixing with the original people who it's us. Okay? These people became Indians through organization, through the Dawes Rolls and the census record. Okay? They paid a price to become Indians. And that's facts. And of course, some of them slept with our women because it was the only way for it to happen, just like how everybody else did. And that's the rapture. That was the rapture. If y'all don't know, the rapture already happened. Okay, the one y'all waiting for in the Bible, the same Bible they gave y'all and told you Jesus came to save you. Nah, Jesus came to rape you first. And then they tell you he's going to save you. Okay? That's why our women in church is waiting for the rapture. Oh, your mothers and grandmothers and great-grandmothers already got raped. That was the rapture. That's what the etymology of what rapture is. It's a rape taken by force. Y'all think I'm making this up? In fact, you know what? Before I get out of here, because you know me, I don't just like to talk about things. I like to prove the things that I say. So let us look at the etymology of rapture real quick before I go. And I've showed it before, but I'm gonna show it to you guys again. I'm gonna show it to y'all again. I know they don't like the truth, but I'm gonna keep bringing it though, because we shall rise. It's our time, and ain't nothing they could do to stop it. Nothing. I promise you that. No, that's not what I'm looking for. Hold up for a second. Why is it going to Bing? All right, that's fine for now. Okay, let us go to the etymology of that. Let me just go to the etymology of that real quick. Give me 1 second. Let me share my screen, guys. Share my screen. All right, guys, let me share this and get out of here. I'm going to take a little walk, get me some fruits. That's how I calm myself down, you know. Get me maybe some papaya or something. All right. All right. So let me show y'all the etymology of rapture, okay? And I'm going to even give it to you in a spiritual context as well. All right. Yes, the gentleman who created the Doors Rose is also a pale-skinned man. Okay. So the etymology of rapture, okay? Rapture, and for those of you who don't know, the etymology of a word is the foundation of the word when it was created. All right, the original meaning, the energy it was meant to carry. All right. 1600, act of carrying off as prey or plunder. End of story. Okay. Act of carrying off as prey or plunder. That's why I tell people, do not prey on me. Don't pray for me. And when I tell people that, they get into their feelings, because I know the energy of the word. I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just letting y'all know I'm here to educate. I'm just a straightforward man. I don't know how to sugarcoat things. There are too many fake people in the world, so I made a vow not to be one of them. Just be real, whether people like it or not. I'm just me, and I'm not going to change. I just choose to have a genuine spirit, and that's just how it is, man. I just give you all of me and just be real. That's it. Ain't no fake bone in my body. If I don't like you, I don't like you. And I will tell you, I'm not going to pretend. If I have to give you the truth, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So that's why I tell people, when you come to me in my inbox, you could say hi. You could say greetings. You could say, but don't come tell me hello and all these things. I don't like that. I'm going to correct you politely. But if you catch an attitude, that's you. It doesn't bother me. Because if you don't want to learn, that's on you. You feel me? Stop getting into your feelings and look for the information for what it is. People are just too sensitive these days, man. All right? So rapture, act of carrying away as prey, plunder, from rapt plus or else from French rapture, from medieval Latin raptura, seizure or rape, kidnapping, a carrying off, abduction, snatching away, rape. The earliest attested use in English is with women as objects. In the 17th century, it sometimes meant rape, which word is a cognate of this one. So when they came here, they brought the Bible, Okay, they gave our women and our people Jesus, and the rapture and the rape already happened. And the same man that raped you, they tell you, here a go, let's come, he will save you again. Once again, I'm not here to scare you. I'm just letting you know what it is. Now, look at this. From the sense of a spiritual ecstasy, a state of mental transport or of exaltation is recorded in 1600. The connecting notion is a sudden or what? A violent taking and carrying away. Even in a spiritual context, it is violent. Okay? The meaning expression of exalted, passionate feeling in words of music is from 1610. I'm telling y'all, man. So, like I said, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm just letting you know. Our people were not Christians. Okay? We were not Muslims either. I'm just letting y'all know. Okay? Now, I'm not here to tell you, take away your faith. I'm just giving you the facts. You do what you want. You could call me a devil if you want. It's up to you. I'm just giving you the facts. All right? Because a lot of times when you tell people the truth, oh, you blasphemy and this and that. No. Look at all of Africa right now. The majority of Africans that send me friend requests, they got white Jesus on their walls. A lot of African women bleaching their skins. You see what I'm saying? Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. My brothers and sisters in Africa, y'all got to love yourselves. Love your beautiful complexion. Love your beautiful complexion. That's how the Great Spirit made you, beautiful. Why you want to bleach your skin? Because what? That's what you were being taught. It's your mindset that's brainwashed. Your God don't look nothing like you. So how do you think that God is going to work for you? Think about it. Okay? You are not praying to that God. That God is praying on you. That's why it's not working for you. That's why they tell you to pray. But you see, it's a curse. It's a ritual. It is really that simple. If you're going to serve a God, which I'm not telling you to serve a higher power, I'm not saying that. You see, when I speak that way, oh, well, you don't believe in God. No, I don't believe in the God that you believe in. Why? Because I know I'm God. I am part of the collective. And that's who God is. God is everything. Okay? Everything. Even the rock that you see that has no life, that's God. Okay? The smallest ant that you see, that's God. That's in our culture. That's what we view the Great Spirit. Because everything is of the Great Spirit. But when you personalize a God that don't look like you, and you expect that God to save you from the same people that gave it to you, then you are living an illusion. That's what you're doing. Why would a white Jesus have favor on you, a so-called black man or woman, when the white Jesus have to look out for his white people? And I'm just saying, if you thought God had a color, because the Great Spirit has no color. The Great Spirit has no gender. All those are just characteristics within the all. The masculine energy, the feminine energy, everything exists in there. It's an essence. And from that essence, okay, consciousness evolves. And things manifest. But God has no gender in the sense of the Great Spirit. No gender. So when oh, well, he did this and he did that, how do you know it's a he? How do you know it's a he? Who told you that? And I'm not gonna apologize for. I'm not gonna say I went off topic. I'm just flowing with my spirit, man. All right. So I'm not asking people to get up and live your religion. That's not what it's about. You believe in what you want to believe, but know who you are. Okay. Know who you are as a people. Okay. Know who you are as a people. We got to stop identifying as these colors, because that's not who we are. And I'm not the only one out here giving information. There are other people doing it as well. I just know I'm passionate in my own way in bringing the information. And I'm certainly sure they are in their own way as well. But the point I'm making is I'm not the only one that's bringing this information out here. Okay? So take a little bit from me. You don't have to take everything. Okay? But I'm bringing as much as I can. But take what works for you. Go to somebody else. Take what works for you. And then you could come up with some ideas of your own and start teaching, because that's what it's about. It's about furthering the education and teaching our children, so they don't have to grow up teaching their children that they're just a color or a people that came from the bottom and you have to struggle to get to the top. No, this is ours. This is our birthright. That's where the entire world come to eat. So why aren't we eating? Why aren't we living the American dream? Why is that? Why is that we have churches on every corner, but yet still our people are the worst off? Obviously, the God that you are serving is not working for you. Huh? Why is it the people that's telling you about the God, they are the only ones driving Benz and BMWs? Why is that? You still can't figure out something is wrong. One of these days, I'm going to do a video. I'm going to come on camera and look you in your eye and tell you who God is. I'll do that. All right. But anyway, like I said, I'm about to get out of here. I'm going to go, get me some fruits. I think most likely tomorrow, I'm going to continue doing some lessons on some of our great people, that you probably never heard of, but our contribution. Okay. And the reason why I like to go is not just about, what we accomplished, but it's more so about looking at the dates. Okay. When you look at the dates and all these great accomplishments of the so-called Negroes or free Negroes, okay, you will look at the date. Well, hold up. I thought we were slaves then. So I'm just pointing all that out to show you the deception and all the lies. Okay. To prove to you that we have always been here. Okay. And there's something in you that's digging at you, that's picking at you, that's telling you, hey, listen, something ain't right. But you are afraid to answer to that little call. Okay, that little thing that's curious in you, that's poking you. You're afraid. But I'm here to tell you this evening, there's no need to be afraid. Okay? No need to be afraid. Open up. Embrace who you are. Okay? Our ancestors are anxiously waiting. They are waiting. And we have to call on them. It's the only way we're going to go through this, because there are certain energies that we won't be able to fight in the physical. So we need them to hold us down, not hold us down, but to look out for us in the realm where they are at right now. Okay? We have to. It's the only way it's going to work, because we are fighting principalities and powers. You feel me? This is more than a physical thing. But remember, it starts in the spiritual realm, and then it manifests in the flesh. So everything starts in the spiritual realm. So if we are able to connect, okay, with our ancestors and work with them and have them work with us in the spiritual realm, okay, then guess what? The physical battle is a cinch. And that's what we have to realize. So we were tricked to thinking that the only ancestor you could reach out to, you have to do it through a man that there's no record of him existed. He don't look like you, but you have to go through him to get to something that you don't even know about. But we know our ancestors existed. Okay, I don't need no middleman to get to my ancestors. I talk to them myself. In fact, just earlier, a few hours ago, I was talking to them. I was also talking to my higher self. Okay, because I know my dual existence. Okay, I know that I am in me. That's one being, and the physical flesh, that's another being. And we correspond all the time. And it's beautiful. Okay, let me tell you, let me tell you a little something, right? You know, for whatever reason, okay, my feet, you know, like my ankle would swell up, right? And I mean, I take my herbs and all that, but for what I don't know if it, I think if I don't know what was the reason anyway. But I know I probably maybe had to get a detox, whatever the case may be. But I said, no, you know what? What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna talk. I'm gonna talk to my ankles. Okay. And guess what I did? All right. It's been what, 3 weeks now. I laid down, okay, and I spoke to my higher self. And the conversation was really simple. I told my higher self, hey, I've been talking to you for years, asking you to teach me how to be like you. Well, guess what? Your temple, which is my body, okay, my ankle is swelling up. And I would like you, okay, to bring me back into perfection. This is your body. And I claim that whatever it is, okay, it will be no more. And guess what? It's been 3 weeks. My ankles are not swelling up because I talk to my higher self and ask it to take care of its temple. Now, a lot of you may think that's crazy, but guess what? It's real. Okay? It's real. Because you know why? The I am in you is God, your God. And that's what you're supposed to honor because that's your personal God. You feel me? So they want to take that away from you and tell you it is something else outside of you. That's the problem. Okay, so I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of that experience that I had, and I do it all the time. Okay, all the time. It's nothing new. I've been talking to my higher self for years now. Okay, for years, and we have a beautiful relationship. All right. So guys, I want to thank y'all for being a part of this build. Just go to the site, like I said, www.ipnan.org. Okay, this is your site, our site, and I'm going to post. You know, man, listen, like I told y'all before, I got so much information that some of the things I think we may have to discuss in a private setting. Okay, we have to discuss in a private setting because I'm telling you, listen, man. Woo, child. Y'all just don't know. Some stuff that I have, it's scary. Scary. This world is no joke, family. This world is no joke. Y'all just don't know. Woo. But you know what? We're gonna be all right because we're gonna restore balance here on earth. We're gonna do it. All right. The righteous will always prevail. All right. So let us continue to love each other, man. Be good to each other. Be kind to each other. You know what I'm saying? Respect each other. You feel me? But when people come at you and disrespect you intentionally, let them face their karma. That's the way the universe works. All right? All right. Well, once again, I've already done a video on all that. That treaty has nothing to do with American Aborigines. Okay, so just so you know, okay? That has nothing to do with us. That's for the people it was designed for. They had a partnership with the United States, okay? That had nothing to do with me and my people. All right, so I just wanted to mention that. Okay, So you guys have a good one, and I will talk to you a little later. All right, take care.